We begin from the banking sector tonight. Second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Elsie Awaji, has reiterated the central bank's resolve to review the Borrowers Amendment Act and ensure that regulatory compliance in the banking sector strictly adhered to. The Bank of Ghana has had to crack the whip on some industry players who have not complied with banking regulations. Madam Awaji, who was speaking at the Bank of Ghana's stakeholders meeting in Accra, noted that good governance practices are being employed to help reduce the likelihood of bank failures. She also advocated a review of the Borrowers Amendment Act, which would bring more sanity into the system.
The Bank of Ghana's statutory mandate, among others, is to promote stability of the financial system. Recent developments in the banking sector have, however, compelled the Bank of Ghana to crack the whip in order to instill sanity in the industry. This has not gone down well with several stakeholders and some members of the public. To help explain their actions, the Bank of Ghana has begun a series of stakeholder engagements. In the maiden edition, President of the Ghana Bankers Association, Al-Hassan Andani, identified some lapses in the banking sector, including credit administration.
Contrast the kind of measures that we get from the central bank, especially the Banking Supervision Department, on what loan classification dates are. I.e. how many days outstanding a facility is still considered as current, how many days is considered as other classified, and then, of course, right down to impaired and write-downs. And on top of that list, Madam Chair, will be government and government-related exposures. And these tend to be very massive exposures. So I'd like us to raise the subject of improved credit administration in this country. That's probably one of the biggest. But all the other issues around depositors that we control, we literally go to negotiate with our depositors, and their interest is always paramount. But when you've made loans and advances and they're out of your door, your control of those essential assets literally lost until it comes back.
The second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Elsie Awaji, explained the need for the central bank to ensure an appropriate capital adequacy ratio and a minimum capital requirement. She noted these are necessary requirements to maintain appropriate balance sheet for universal banks.
Entrance into the banking sector start from that base. On an ongoing basis, banks that are in existence, we want to make sure that they recalibrate their capital so that at least they have that barest minimum. And so that's what we're trying to do. We have capital of banks that have been eroded as a result of many issues, NPLs, inflation, depreciation of the currency, and it is not tenable. We're trying to implement Basel II and III, but we want to make sure that the floor is robust. And I'd like to draw your attention, perhaps those of you who've been following the global financial scene, Basel III itself has recently been amended towards the end of last year, where even in advanced countries where banks have strong capital, where banks have internal models to calculate the risk weights on capital and all of that, regulators in the biggest countries around the world are saying that we need a capital floor.
She also underscored the need to revamp the legal systems of the central bank to ensure they work in the mutual interest of banks and customers. The maiden edition of the Stakeholders Forum brought together some banks.
Meanwhile, renowned banking consultant Dr. Williams Atulik is blaming the collapse of indigenous banks on failure of corporate governance structures. He says non-performing loans and poor capital adequacy ratio are additional elements contributing to the fate of commercial banks. Dr. Atulik was speaking at the first in a series of practitioners' forum on corporate governance and business ethics in Kumasi. Kwesi Deborah reports.
UT, Capital and Unibank have recently suffered setbacks in a manner some refer to as collective national failure. Dr. Atulik admits the central bank has also failed in its bid to adequately manage its corporate governance. He challenged junior staff of banks to play monitoring roles and report infractions to appropriate quarters. The former board member of Tema Oil Refinery advocates establishment of risk committees, which many businesses lack. He said this is essential for forecasting future problems and managing them properly.
So most of them are having very bad capital adequacy ratios. Most of them are having non-performing loan portfolios. But why did that happen? Governance. So it is because of corporate governance. The things that the board and the middle level and the senior management team and the middle level team, for most of the corporate banks, there were a lot of interviews, the junior staff, and they didn't know what was going on. But most of those decisions are taken up at the middle, at the senior to high level. So I will attribute a lot of these failures to board level and senior management level inaction, or acting in a manner that rather inures to their personal interests. Go into both of the bank and check the loan, the non-performing loans. They are mostly to related parties. And these are on the recommendation. Some of the banks, there are some information that have not been made public, but we understand huge portfolio of those loans which are not paid back are given to people who are very close to very strong people at the top level. That's it.
The Practitioners Forum is organized by the Institute of Distance Learning, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. The program is aimed at enriching class work. Deputy Director Dr. Ahmed Ejapon expects the transformation triggered by the interaction will lead to improvement at the workplace.
At the end of the day, what I expect is that interaction like this should bring transformation in us, so that when we go back, we will be able to effect the necessary change within our institutions where we work.
Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Debra.
While still in the finance space, microfinance institutions are appealing to the Bank of Ghana to review the deadline for meeting the minimum capital requirement to remain in business. The firms have up till June 2018 to increase their capital base from 500,000 to 2 million cedis. Here's the Executive Director of the Ghana Microfinance Institutions Network, Yao Jemfi.
By our checks, most of them haven't gotten there yet. But we anticipate that we've done some initial discussions with the central bank, and we are hoping we'll have a good result from them. As we speak, we've requested for a meeting to meet the governor. We do hope they will accept some of the proposals we are putting across. We are looking at the lower level. Why can't we look at efficiency and then guide them to do the proper work, not necessarily having the biggest minimum capital. The idea is that today, if people have 2 million, beyond the regional capitals, it will always be difficult for you to disperse the 2 million at the lower level. And so we anticipate that can we have a tier system within the lower level. Say if you have 2 million, you can do regional level.
Sorry, and this by this lower level, you are referring to microfinance companies and not savings and loans companies. No. Okay.
Yeah, and so I'm anticipating that if we have a minimum of 2 million working at the regional capitals, if you have below 2 million, let's say 1 million, you do a lot of work at the district level. And then those below 500,000, you do within the townships. You don't cross border to do other things.
In other news tonight, the Ghana Stock Exchange says funds available for struggling companies that want to list on the Ghana alternative market. According to the executive director of the board, Kofi Yamwa, many SMEs are confronted with financial and advisory challenges in their bid to attract investors to help list on the market. However, he says with the creation of the Listing Support Fund by the Ghana Stock Exchange, small businesses can tap into the opportunity to be assisted.
The GACs, we took pains in setting it up because we want it to be attractive to the SMEs. And for that reason, we did set up the Listing Support Fund. The fund is contributed to by the Exchange and Venture Capital Trust Fund. The idea is that when we went around much earlier, some of these entrepreneurs told us that they couldn't meet the upfront costs of operating to come, i.e. legal advisory services, reporting accountant, brokerage services, and so forth. So that was the beginning of the setting up of this fund. The idea is for these companies to tap into these funds, be able to pay for these advisory services, so that when they go public, and raise the money, they pay back this money into the fund at no interest. And like I said, the fund is contributed to by the Ghana Stock Exchange and Venture Capital Trust Fund.
Okay.
Moving on, the Ministry of Employment says the 100,000 jobs promised by the Vice President under the Nation Builders Corps will not be permanent. Deputy Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, Bright Brobe, adds the program will only act as a transient window to enable unemployed youth get oriented on the job market. Mr. Brobe also allayed fears over possibilities of the employment program being short-lived.
As government plans to roll out the Nation Builders Corps, we explore these matters of unemployment with the Deputy Minister of Labour Relations, Bryce Brobe, on how this very program is going to impact issues of unemployment in the country and the various sectors, if there are, that this program is going to be strategizing on.
The Nation Builders Corps is a government initiative aimed at dealing with the menace of growing graduate unemployment in the country. The program, which will be launched in May, is expected to provide about 100,000 jobs across the country. Speaking to Joy Business, Deputy Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, Bright Brobe, says the program will also help address the lack of skilled personnel for government projects and programs, including the Planted for Food and Jobs.
Earlier on, we had extension officers, who were put in more in the rural areas to support our farmers. The ratio there is also not appreciable. And we are thinking that we will increase the number of extension officers primarily to work with the agri service and to work with even Cocoa Board to ensure that we reach out to the farmers in the use of modern technologies. So this is an area where the agri colleges. So when we are talking of unemployed graduates, we are not only looking at Legon and KNUST, UCC and UDS. We are thinking also the colleges of other institutions, agric, health, in those areas. So these graduates will also be captured under the NAPCO program. And
so far, there have been concerns over the sustainability of the Nation Builders Corps, as many challenge its sustainability. But Bright Brobe reveals the program will be well structured to ensure its successful execution in the long term.
In the meantime, this program would put a lot of people in there to help us in our various departments within our assembly concept. And this is quite interesting.
The Nation Builders Corps will be officially launched on May 1st by President Akufo-Addo.
Former Minister of Trade and Industry Lante van der Poel is requesting for some time for Parliament to study the recently signed African Continental Free Trade Agreement. According to him, the deal is an important document which will determine the future of trade among African nations, hence the need for better understanding by the citizenry before ratification. Parliament has been recalled to ratify the agreement, which was signed by 44 African countries last month in order to open up the African market for more intertrade.
When we have these things, we don't get to do many more stakeholder discussions on this. Ghanaian businesses, Ghanaian traders and things should have the opportunity to be consulted. And within this short time, I'm wondering what sort of time they will have to submit memos and things to Parliament for Parliament to look at their side. Would we have enough consultation with traders, Guta, and these businesses to know what effect would this have on them? So that because what we should be doing should be in the interest of Ghanaians first. But I think that the time is too short for us to be able to do all these consultations adequately in order to have a much more informed document to put before Parliament. That is only my worry.
So you think they should give you more time?
I think that if there is no deadline pertaining to the agreement, then we need to have more time. The committee must be given more time to consult with the Ghanaian businesses, Association of Ghana Industries, Chamber of Commerce, Guta, and all other stakeholders must have effective consultation so that we can have a comprehensive and well-looked at document that will not be to the disadvantage of any Ghanaian when it is finally ratified.
Mr. van der Poel is also urging law enforcement agencies to ensure rigorous systems are deployed to check illicit trading and to avoid the country being used as a dumping ground for inferior goods.
The fact that we have free trade doesn't mean that you can come and dump anything at all in the country. For example, Nigeria have what they call a list of 42, and a lot of countries have. Japan, even America, the fact that they have free trade doesn't mean that you can just bump into a container, toxic waste, and come and dump it here. No, it's not. It's not. There are things that are, in spite of the fact that we have a free trade, there are things that have certain level of restrictions that are not permitted, that are not allowed. And I said those things will definitely be looked at.
Would our government ensure that those things are actually,
You know, it's a matter of system. Once you have a very effective and, let me say, disciplined system in order to police the regime, it will not have any serious implications for our trade and our business. What the danger is when you decide that you not make your systems work, and as that fraud, the indiscipline, the corruption within the system possibly will fester the people who want to take advantage, undue advantage of that free trade regime. But then if you have your systems and your laws and your let me say the disciplinary measures and the regulations that will enhance the sustainability of the gains of the free trade, I don't think there is anything wrong with it.
Ghana is said to be spending over $200 million on meat and meat products annually. Experts say this trend could be reversed if government increases investments into cattle production. Fozia Adam has visited the Keseville Cattle Ranch in the Volta region, which has over 30,000 cattle. The brisk milking business associated is, however, underdeveloped because of the absence of a milk factory. Now, the lack of proper storage and processing facilities means large amounts of fresh milk produced on a daily basis go waste at the ranch. There's more in this report.
The Keseville Cattle Ranch in the Northern constituency in the Volta region is home to over 30,000 cattle. The lush green plains guarantees the cattle enough grass for grazing even in the dry season. Here, caretakers are serious about vaccinating the animals to keep the animals healthy, free from disease outbreaks, and ultimately to reap from their investment. A cattle like this could go for as much as 1,200 Ghana cedis. And right here, cattle rearing is a very big business.
It's a very good business to rear animal. People from Ashama, Kofodia, and things. And at times we catch it from here to Japan for Turaku to sell.
When the rainy season begins, the cattle get fresh grass to graze and enough water to drink. However, carting the cattle for sale is difficult because of the poor nature of the road.
The challenge we are facing is how the road to the villages become a problem. Because if it rain, car cannot come here. And then if you want to sell animal, you suffer before move it to the town and sell. There's a main business, the milk, the things, people come for it. But during rainy season, car cannot come.
The young herdsmen are not paid with cash. They milk the cows and sell them for profit. This is the sound of a milking cow. I'm currently here at camp at the Northern constituency, and they produce 75 liters of milk a day, and a liter costs 1 cedi. Sadly, during rainy season, the herdsmen are unable to sell the milk, also because of the poor nature of the road. After milking the cows and using some domestically, the rest go bad. Zachary is not happy with the current situation and wants a milk company established in the Northern constituency.
Here we go, there's no any company, any individual business can say maybe producers milk than things we take my business, and then we are ready to help. If any company come, they will get the milk any quantity they want for it to open some factory or any business for here, so that the youth of Northtown will get business or get job to do.
Statistics from the Ministry of Agriculture shows that in 2014, Ghana spent $200 million on meat and meat products. Food and Agriculture Organization estimates that the expanding market for cow milk will be worth $400 million by 2019. But Ghana continues to untap this business potential. Governments could partner the ranch and implement a milk factory under the One District, One Factory program and provide jobs to the youth of North Tongue. Fauzia to Adam, Joy Business.
You may either love their music, movies, and their skills in various fields of endeavor, but after they hit retirement age, their stories are nothing to write home about. Now, the question is, why do veteran celebrities find it difficult to maintain good lifestyles after retirement? John Fafali has been finding out in this report.
Unfortunately, some Ghanaian celebrities, despite their flashy lifestyles, don't sustain this in their old age. This is because they fail to appropriately plan against unforeseen contingencies. Once impressive musicians, movie and sports stars, as well as other celebrities in their heydays, their end become deplorable. The creative industry has recorded many instances where some veteran celebrities have taken to TV and other media platforms to seek financial assistance for their medical needs. Investment banker, who is also the MD for Eco Capital, Dela Agbo, gives some explanation.
When they start working, they tend not to think about old age. In everything we do, we all have to understand that whether we like it or not, someday we will retire. Someday you will not be doing what you are currently doing. So we need to start planning from day one. But unfortunately, when most of these celebrities, most of an average Ghanaian worker start working, retirement is usually last, if not none, on their list. So they work so hard and then they retire broke. Then they start expecting people to take care of them. We need to educate ourselves to understand that whatever you make today or whatever you are doing today, tomorrow you will no longer be doing that. Old age will come. A lot of people don't think about that. That is why even in Ghana, I always make fun of this, that a lot of people tend to change their date of birth when it's getting close to retirement, because they are not ready. When you are ready and you are getting close to retirement, you are happy to go on retirement. A lot of people give the excuse that because they are not making enough to invest. You don't need to make enough to invest, because a lot of people are not making enough, but they pay their 10% tithes to churches, correct? Do they go to the church and say, oh, I've been paying 10% tithes to you for the last 10 years, so give it back to me? Of course not. So why can't you also pay 10% into an investment account for your old age? A lot of people don't think about it like that.
The problem, according to investment experts, is also a lack of knowledge of the various investment packages available on the market. Dela Agbo outlines some interventions.
Ultimately, for you to design a package, it has to be done in line with the client's objective. Now, when a client, a footballer or actor comes to me, I need to understand what is your objective. Now, we know that you are going to play football for X number of years. You go, maybe you retire around 20 years, whatever it is. Can you be putting XYZ aside every month, which will be managed for you? How would it be managed? If you are young, it could be very aggressive, where we can invest into a lot more into the stock market. Because the stock market, you can buy a lot more shares in the stock market. Now, stock market is a bit aggressive because it could go up, it could go down. But as you are getting old, we can reduce your exposure to the stock market into fixed income, where we can start moving part of your monies into treasury bills, fixed deposit, and other fixed income products. So it has to be done in line with your objective and the duration we are working with.
Making a conscious effort to change expenditure and savings culture are undoubtedly necessary requirements to secure the future for our celebrities. For Joy Business, John Fafali Kofi.
Well, I guess it's not just an issue to do with celebrities. That'll be it for Business Live tonight. Thanks for watching. My name is Daryl Kwao. We're back same time tomorrow.